Dude, where's your costume?
I know, it's Halloween today, isn't it? It's too early for me to get in my costume.
I know, I was supposed to take my kid to school, and I was like, thank God her girlfriend was over and they Ubered. I'm just like, oh, I need a little bit more sleep. Okay, so what are we doing today? This is totally different.
Yeah, this is a special edition of Zacuto Live. Not only is it earlier, but it's about a topic that's kind of out of our wheelhouse. But it'll be fun to learn what's all about this.
Yeah, this was Mandy's idea. When she talked about it, I was like, I don't know the first thing about this, but okay.
And perfect for Halloween, of course.
All right, so let's bring Rachel on, because I'm gonna let her run this show, because I'm kind of terrified about this whole thing. And you've now seemed to be, you were gonna run the whole show.
Well, I'm still a little overwhelmed by your kid Ubering to school. What an age we live in.
Yeah,
that
right.
blows my mind a little bit. But anyway.
I know, she's like, they didn't even wake me up. Thank God. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. They Uber everywhere now. My God, my Uber bill is huge. Okay.
Blows my mind. Anyway, hi everybody. Happy Halloween. Before we get started into today's show about special effects makeup, which I'm really excited about, I just want to let everybody know about a Halloween trick-or-treat special we're running this week. For every order over $250 on the store, you get a special surprise bag of Zacuto gear in with your order. So you just have to use the coupon code Halloween 2018 and we will automatically add some goodies. I'm going to put the details in the comments in just a second. But what I really want to do is introduce our guest, Mike Spatola from Cinema Makeup School. Mike is a makeup FX legend. He's worked on productions like Terminator 2, Return of the Living Dead, Predator 2, and he's here today to show us some techniques for bruise and wound makeup with prosthetics. I will be following the chat as usual on Facebook as we go. So if you've got any questions for Mike about Cinema Makeup School or what he's going to be doing in the demonstration, pop them in the chat. I'll make sure we talk about them. And let's get started. Let's say hi to Mike.
Hey, how you doing? Okay, so wait, what are we doing now? We're slapping a prosthetic on, a little bit of blood.
Yeah, that was sort of our pre-game discussion. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to apply what's called a prostate transfer. It's a small, thin, very flexible prosthetic that's almost like a tattoo transfer, but 3D. It's technology that actually won its creator a technical Oscar. His name is Christian Tinsley, and this is a very, everything that leads up to it is a little bit more technical, but the application is very, very simple. So for when you're on set, it goes very quickly. Literally, it's like almost peel and stick, but looks amazing. So what I'm going to do is actually get started. If you're ready, I can start putting it on.
Let's do this.
Yep.
We're excited.
All right, cool. So my transfer, this is very sticky, is right here. And it's going to be like a slit throat kind of effect. And what I need to do is put it on this water transfer paper, just like a decal or a tattoo transfer. It's already adhesive because the piece itself is made out of prosthetic adhesive. And I'm just going to put the paper on and press it down. So now it's attached to the paper. And then I'm going to just very quickly take some alcohol.
Looks like a piece of chicken.
Yeah, it kind of does.
But now
what I'm going to do is a little bit of alcohol.
Mike, where do you get that? Like, is that a pre-made thing, or did you create that wound?
I did not create this one. I do make them. But this is one that we had around the school that I just said, "Ooh, I'll take this one."
Okay.
But yeah, it's a you would sculpt it, make a mold, and then run the transfer, and then it's a process. It's a two-step process to get it to cure. The adhesive is very sensitive to cold, so if you freeze it, it never thaws out. It never comes back to a liquid form. It turns into this rubber, and then once it turns into that rubber, we take it out of the freezer and put it in a dehydrator to suck the rest of the moisture out of the piece, leaving a very flexible, very fleshy kind of peel and stick wound or black eye or cut or whatever it is. So now that I have it on the paper, I'm going to just cut this out very close to where the sculpture ended.
You know, we never actually said where you are. Where are you?
Where I'm at the North Pole. No, I'm in LA. I'm at Cinema Makeup School. We are just over the Wiltern Theater building, which is really cool. It's a great old theater here in LA. And we take up pretty much almost the whole second floor of the building. Cool building, very cool architecture. So now it's ready to go. I'm just going to peel the plastic off that the transfer was originally adhered to. There we go. So this whole surface is super sticky. And all I have to do now is just get her hair out of the way. Place it, don't raise your head.
It's about where I would have
Beautiful,
sliced it.
So what I'm going to do now is actually wet the paper, and then the whole, all the paper will slide off, leaving the transfer stuck to her neck.
So is this pretty new, this method of doing it, compared to what you've done in the past?
The technique has been around for, I would say, less than 10 years or around 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So back, let's say when you did Terminator, that was a whole different, more labor-intensive, like build from
Yeah,
scratch?
those pieces were all foam latex glued on. This is much newer than that. Terminator 2 was over 20 years ago now, which is kind of hard to grasp because it doesn't seem that long. Of course, when you get to be older like me, everything seems to go by really quickly.
So for a show like The Walking Dead, I'm sure they're using this because they got to do a lot of people and do it fast, right?
Yeah, this is a technique that's used really widely now for a lot of different purposes. It could be even just small character accents. See the paper sliding now?
It's like a decal at this point.
3D.
Like a decal.
You ever see this stuff
So-
that like the first part of it was like this thing I put on my city sticker where it's, you know, you put the sticker on, you can buy it at Walgreens.
Mm-hmm. You mean
So
you can
now I'm
peel
just
it
going
off.
to take a little bit of alcohol on a Q-tip and just push the edges down, make sure that they're stuck. And the alcohol also sort of dissolves the glue a little bit, so it can make the edge just disappear into the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Don't move your head. How does it feel? How does it feel?
It feels very similar to how almost like a temporary tattoo would feel. More tight necessarily than like uncomfortable. It feels pretty normal. It feels like just my skin just a little bit tighter.
Now when it's cured and you move your head around a lot, could it crack or no?
No, it won't crack. It's very flexible.
It's rubbery. So how do you get it off? It just peels off?
Well, it doesn't just peel off. It actually takes a fair amount of work to get this to come off.
Now this is going to be kind of a bizarre question, but is there anybody else around there that can take an iPhone pic as kind of here and there, and they could email it to Rachel and we could post it on...
Like close-ups?
Yeah.
So we can see close-ups?
Yeah, we have actually a few people in the room that could take some pictures.
Oh, great. Okay, so if you could come in there, take a nice, beautiful picture, and then...
like in stages, then we can see the progression,
email
maybe?
it to Rachel@Zacuto.com. Rachel, how do you spell that? R-A-C-H-E-L?
Yep, easy peasy.
And then you'll just stick them in there. It'll be awesome. You can see exactly, like really close up what it looks like.
Yeah, you can get in and take a Yeah, you can take photos through the whole thing if you want.
Yeah, progressive pictures will be awesome.
So, Mike, I have a question. At your school, are there any sort of, I guess, anatomy classes or anything like that? Do you guys cover what might actually be inside a human being at a specific point?
Actually, our
when you're
creature
putting a
maquette
prosthetic on?
class, where it's like a, you know, a maquette is like a smaller version of a larger design. Our maquette class covers anatomy pretty well. We have one of those like visible men, where the skin taken off, and the instructors really go in detail about what goes underneath the skin. So we have, the skeletal part first, then, the muscles, and then the skin afterwards. So we do cover that. And in a lot of the other classes, prosthetics and special effects as well, we have to talk about that stuff because you got to know what's going on under the skin.
Mm-hmm. We have another question here from Victor asking about how you match it with skin color, which I think is what you're about to start doing.
It's exactly what I'm starting to do. The piece itself is a little too pink for her skin. She's sort of olive tone, especially in the neck area. So I'm going in with an olive tone first to sort of take down that redness. But I'm painting with alcohol paints, which are very translucent, and that way we build up the color rather than try to slap it all on at once.
Hey, I have a question. Victor, do they do Halloween in Holland?
You're asking Victor.
I'm asking Victor now.
Yeah, Victor. Okay, yeah, Victor, our loyal follower.
He'll comment in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And if so, what are you dressed as?
A truck driver, of course, right? That's what he actually is, right? So, Mike, another question. I'm a huge fan, of course, of Terminator 2 and all that. So how did you get the glowing eye to look so deep in his skull? I mean, that was pretty amazing. It looked like we were seeing inside the skull when obviously it's laid on top, right?
Yeah, well, most of the time when you're seeing the depth of it, it's a puppet head. So it's not actually Arnold.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But we do have a shell with an LED that fits very close over the eye, and then the sculpture around it brings the sculpt, sort of the orbit of the eye out a little bit further,
right?
And gives you that extra depth.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Now, Mike, do you have to sometimes build in, I don't know, squibs or blood packs and things if they want explosions happening or to see the blood ooze out of this thing?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't that much of like oozing blood kind of gags where, the blood would squirt out or anything, but there definitely was pyrotechnics, which we have to work with the pyrotechnic people. As makeup effects artists, we don't have the license to buy those explosives or use them. So we have to have the special effects department take care of that stuff.
But you still have to hide it with makeup in that, right?
Yes. Often it'll go underneath a prosthetic to hide it, and then when the explosive goes off, it bursts through the rubber, the foam latex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, so you can see probably that it's getting closer to her skin tone, I think. Can you?
Well, let's get in there with an iPhone and snap a pic, and then we'll put it in the timeline. Have you got any?
Oh, okay.
Did the pictures show up in there, Rachel?
Not yet.
Okay. Got it. Would you rather text them or email them to her?
Okay, well, pretty much the person who was taking the photos has stepped out of the room for a second, so hopefully soon that can happen.
Well, when you're done, I guess we can move the camera in and get a nice close-up of it.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But it's just fun in the meantime to see the progression in a higher res photo would be nice.
Oh, yeah. No, it's going to be great. Yeah, live.
What can you see? Can you see the shapes on there?
Yeah, it's hard. I do see it, but in live the resolution is just not that high. When we upload this to YouTube, it'll be in full 1080, and you'll be able to see everything.
Oh, okay. I'm wondering if we can move the camera in just a little bit closer. Oh, that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she should walk to the camera. It might be easier.
I can also see the colors matching better a little bit there. So.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this makeup waterproof?
Yes, it is. Actually, right now I'm painting with alcohol-activated paints. They're also very flexible, but extremely translucent. I can make them opaque, but they actually work better when they're translucent because you see various colors showing through one another, just kind of like skin. I mean, if you were to go close up on skin, you would see that it's made up of a lot of different colors, not just a flesh tone per se. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm adding a bunch of different colors in here, but still allowing some of the color of the piece to show through. Mm-hmm. And now I'm actually getting some blood tone, and I'm going to be doing that little by little to build up the inside of the wound.
This is the fun part. Where
This
you really
is the fun part.
Where you really see the change happen, don't you?
There you go. So let me ask some questions about the school, because when we put this,
Sure.
when the video goes on YouTube, we're going to get lots of views about people that are interested in, you know, makeup school. I mean, you know, you hear a lot about film schools, but not as much about makeup schools.
Right. Okay, well, shoot, what do you got for me?
I don't know. Tell me about this really cool school. Actually, what streets
Okay,
is
well,
it on?
it is a very cool school. I've been here since 2011. Started off as an instructor, then eventually became the chief academic officer, and which basically means I would write the syllabi, and I would, you know, even create new classes, hire instructors and such. One of the coolest things I think about the school is that we hire only working artists to teach. We can do that since we don't accept government money. We don't have to follow the guidelines of we have to have career teachers here. Having working artists as instructors, they're getting information right from the trenches, you know, from people who are really doing it on set. And these instructors also have the ability to hire the students after they've trained them. So you're getting a couple of great benefits just from that.
Yeah, so
we
that's
have a
sort
wide
of
variety of classes.
That's kind of the
And,
AFI model.
I mean, I don't know how AFI does it, but I believe that's the case. Yeah, I believe that all their instructors are the real thing, not somebody who just teaches it.
Now, can anybody go to the school, or do you have to have some sort of experience in doing makeup?
I mean, experience might help a little bit, but no, we don't require anyone to have previous experience. And for me, that means I don't have any bad habits to break from somebody. You know, I can teach them the way it needs to be done, and not what they learned on, say, like YouTube or, you know, something like that. I really like having somebody who's sort of a clean slate. And that way I can give them all the little nuances rather than, I've experienced in the past at other institutions where the people would come with experience and then almost argue with you saying, well, no, my way is better. It's like, well, then why are you here? Why don't you just go get a job instead of coming to school?
Right.
So, you know, I honestly prefer to have the clean slate.
How long is the program?
Well, we have a couple of different programs. You know, our longest program is about 7 months long. That's the complete track, and it contains every class that we offer at the school. And that's, you know, every aspect of beauty, character, prosthetics, special effects, advanced beauty, advanced lab, where they create these sort of, I don't know if you can see the silicone heads in the back, where they make a silicone head of themselves. And they actually go to a working creature shop, not in the school, to take that class. So they're around working, a ton of working professionals in a working lab. Most often it's ADI, which I worked with them on Tremors, a million years ago. But they did Alien vs. Predator and the Santa Claus movies, and recently the new Predator that's out. So it's kind of fun to have them in that atmosphere where all that stuff is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And is there some sort of a certification they get when they're done?
They do get a certificate, but there's no, like, it's not like beauty school where you get like a state board exam and things like that. You know, they'll have a certificate completion, they'll get a diploma, but makeup artists on set are not required to have any kind of certification whatsoever. Unlike a beauty salon where you have to have that state board license.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have to ask, favorite movie of all time, Jens? Tell them my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, God, you put me on the spot. Of all time now?
Yep.
How am I forgetting this?
I know, and people are like, oh my God, that's your favorite movie?
Oh, Planet of the Apes.
Thank you.
Yes.
The 1968 Planet of the Apes. At that time, I remember I begged my dad, I was a little kid, to take me to that movie. I saw the commercials, and I was like, oh my God, I got to see this movie. I'd never seen anything like this. At that time, in 1968, that was, okay, I'm dating myself a little bit here, but that was never been done. What, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. He won an Academy Award for that, didn't he?
That's right. And back then, there was no regular Oscar for makeup. They didn't have one every year. So that was a special achievement Oscar for makeup. They didn't have an Oscar for makeup before that.
Yeah, that was no just mask you slipped on. There was more to it than that, wasn't
even
it?
Today, you have to admit, when you look at that, it's pretty damn good, isn't it?
Oh, it's very cool. I still love it.
Now, how did he, that was all done with prosthetic pieces you put on the person, right?
That's correct, yeah, all foam latex prosthetics.
Yeah, and I remember seeing their little documentary they put out a few years ago where the time it took, they had so many people in that makeup department. I mean, obviously the people in the way as the 8 movies progressed, more and more, they had less money, so more and more of them were just getting masks.
That were background, yeah.
Yeah, the background people
had backgrounds had masks.
They had masks on. But, I mean, didn't they say it took something like 4 hours to get somebody ready for that?
Oh, that's very possible. I mean, the longest makeup I ever did was like 4.5 hours. So it can take that. And that was they didn't just have the prosthetics, they had hair pieces that they had to glue on as well. And on their hands, most of their hands were their normal hands with just their fingernails painted and some hair. But I think the gorillas had gloves that made their hands look more massive and hairy and such.
It was incredible. I'm telling you. I mean, to see that, having never seen anything like that, I just remember even my dad was kind of shocked at the end. He was just like, yeah, I could do that again.
Wow, yeah.
He's like, and he did not want to go.
Is your colleague in there with the cell phone so we could do a little progression photo here?
Yeah, we can take some more photos. Yeah.
I do have a few photos that have found their way to me, so we'll get them in the chat.
Okay, that's cool.
Put them right in there so people can see that. And I could definitely see what's going on now, even on, I'm going to look to the other monitor, so I'm looking away here. Oh yeah, that does look good.
Mm-hmm. So Mike, I have another question, something that's really maybe pertinent to our times. So you've started in this business well before HD. So is it a lot harder now and do you have to be much more detailed because of the resolution change? Like, how has it affected your business?
It has made things a little bit more difficult. Film was very forgiving, where digital is not at all forgiving. Even like the slightest bit more red than necessary shows up like crazy. So digital HD has not been kind to the makeup department. So, I mean, generally, we can only do what we can do as far as like making it look great to our eye. Once that's done, we would definitely take them on set and put them in front of the camera and look at them on the monitor to see what's showing. And sometimes we do have to make major adjustments once we get them to set. So it isn't done 100% in the makeup trailer.
Right.
I mean, it's the same with actresses. I mean, we've had this conversation before, and we've noticed it. You know, the difference between shooting a model on film, where you have that lovely grain that just sort of filled in all those little imperfections in your skin.
And it was random. It was nice.
Yeah, compared to, I even liked 16 better because the grain was bigger. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you've done regular makeup as well, right?
Yes.
You know how this HD basically looked like a topographical map compared to film.
It's true.
You know,
it's definitely changed the way we do things. Now a lot of our prosthetics are translucent rather than, like, foam latex is solid white opaque basically, and then we have to paint layers of paint over top of it to try to make it look translucent, where what I've applied today is actually a translucent prosthetic. It actually transmits some color through it and has a depth to it that latex doesn't have. So, we're using a lot more translucent silicones and this technique, and even gelatin transmit light and color better than foam latex does. Foam latex is still great if you're doing, say, monster makeups or big heads or something like that. But if you're doing subtle realism, even if it's just a nose, a translucent silicone is going to work way better because the camera sees it more as flesh. It has depth to it and specks of color inside of it rather than sitting on top of it.
What's your favorite movie you've ever seen with special effects makeup?
I love the movie Legend with Tim Curry and Tom Cruise. That had a ton of makeup in it, where Tim Curry was the devil and he was 8 feet tall, and they had all these, goblins and elves and, just a ton of different characters. That's always been one of my favorites. When I went to see the original Predator for the first time, I walked out of the theater saying, geez, why can't I work on a cool monster like that? And then I got hired on Predator 2 to paint all the Predators. So, you have to be careful what you ask for. Luckily, that was something good.
What about the Mission Impossible, that sort of makeup? With the masks?
A lot of Mission Impossible, like back in the old TV series, that was all makeup.
No, that's the one I'm talking about.
Now it's more digital, or they just really replace them with with the actor that they're portraying. When they're trying to take over somebody's identity or whatever, it's just the actor playing the other actor in that actor's role. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but in the original one,
here, I'm not that.
Don't they do some of it with wipes too? Like as they're pulling the mask off, it's kind of a wipe to the next actor.
I don't know. The original one was good.
Usually what you'll see is just a flap of skin, and they start to pull it off.
Right.
And then it's the wipe, and it goes back to Tom Cruise or whoever's playing the role.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking
All right,
Martin
what I'm going to
Landau.
do now, I have liquid blood. This is corn syrup blood that we make here at the school. It's basically corn syrup and food coloring and a couple other little things. And I have some soap, liquid soap. The reason I have soap is because the blood itself will bead up on these slick surfaces and look really fake. But when you add soap to it, it changes the surface or the chemical makeup or whatever that makes it not bead up on the surface. So I'm going to mix some blood into the soap.
Cool. So that must be a part of your classes too, is a little chemistry for certain things like this.
Well, I mean, a prosthetics class specifically has a lot of, chemical compounds. When we're making silicone molds, they have to combine all the ingredients and make
There's recipes,
the
essentially.
liquids turn into rubbers, basically.
Well, some of these movies,
All right.
you see blood and it looks terrible. You're just like, that is so fake. The color's wrong.
You mean on...
Well, hopefully this will look good.
You mean, well, particularly now, like you said, it's harder in HD, I think, to pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell.
Ooh,
even,
look at that. That's...
Yeah, I can tell on this monitor, which is the resolution's in 720. Yeah, we're going to look away for a second here because we want to look at a better monitor. Yeah, that looks real.
So I'm just going to take a little bit of water and kind of make it look a little messier. Sorry, it's going down your cleavage.
Totally fine. No worries.
And then I'm going to add more blood.
It's the dripping that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
As well. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, the darkness there works.
There we go.
Yeah, it looks like it hurts.
So that should look pretty good to your.
Yeah.
It looks
your
great.
eye.
Let's get in there and get a picture.
Yeah, we're actually getting some photos. Oh, what happened? We lost our light.
It looks fine.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, so we can take a close-up of this, and it should hold up very, very well, even in HD.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Feels great.
So that's the the demo.
Oh yeah, put them up if you can.
I'm sorry?
No, I think that we actually have some of those pictures. You saying, Verge, that I'm talking on the control. Oh, there we go. Look at that. So this is, you see, this is a progressive picture here.
Right. We're looking at the pictures that we're taking.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
You can't see this, but we actually have them online right here now. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Gotta love this technology here.
And now if you could just sew it up.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
that's amazing.
You could do that if we put a little plate underneath that to protect her skin. We could actually sew that up with a needle and thread.
Right.
But there's no plate under there, so I'm not going to jab her with a needle.
Yeah, no. So in other words, if you wanted that action in whatever you're shooting, you would protect her skin with a plate, so that if somebody had to actually sew up a wound on camera, that's what you would do. I never realized that.
Yeah,
that
we
makes
do
sense.
like a little vacuum plastic, very thin, that would go underneath the prosthetic, and then you could literally stick the needle in and suture it up like an emergency room scene, or somebody sewing up their own. Like you see in you guys watch Daredevil on Netflix.
Not that one.
There's a whole lot of scenes of them sewing up wounds in that show. And so they have to do stuff like that. Sometimes it's just a close-up insert shot, and sometimes it's actually on the actor. So when it's on the actor, you have to have something to protect the skin when you're sticking that needle in there. Otherwise, the actor is going to be like, when they wince, it's real, not acting.
Cool.
Let me ask you a question, and before I do that, I want to know if it's possible, Verge, in the control room, if you can get some of the photos of the finished makeup so that we can put them on live. You start working on that, and I'm going to ask this question. How much are you working either with the director, producer, to create their vision? In other words, who do you really work with, and how long? I mean, do you have long meetings? And some directors might say, I can imagine if I were directing something, I'd be like, dude, I want it to look like this, and I want to have this.
It's probably different if it's a horror film than a standard movie, I'm assuming.
Or are they hiring you and saying, okay.
But even in a standard film, you have to, it might be a period piece, or I did a film called Gettysburg many years ago, where we had a lot of facial hair, obviously, because it's Civil War era, and we had to do a lot of research and a lot of talk with the director and figure out, who's going to have giant mutton chops and who's going to have the crazy handlebar mustache. And, obviously some of the characters are, all the characters are supposed to be real historic characters. But some are, the more background people that they're soldiers, but you don't know exactly who they are or who they're supposed to be. But everybody had to have crazy facial hair because that was the era.
Right.
But yeah, we do, if it's a creature film, there's a whole lot of artwork that gets passed back and forth till you finalize something. I know several years back, I worked on a film called Django Unchained. And when we were trying to nail down the age makeup on Samuel L. Jackson, which wasn't really so much an age makeup because that's his real age, it was more changing his character look. Kevin Haney, who I worked with closely on this, did 3 specific sculptures of different prosthetics and presented them to Quentin Tarantino. And rather than him selecting one very specific sculpture, he's like, I like the forehead on this, the nose on this, the cheeks on this, blah, blah, blah. And then we had to combine that together to a brand new sculpture set of prosthetics.
I have one other question.
Yeah, you work closely with the directors all the time.
I have another question. So, how does it work in the entire makeup department where you're doing a movie, a war film, let's say? Like, I'm thinking of the Spielberg movie, A D-Day. I mean, how many
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan. How many people did it take to do the makeup on that landing scene where there's just hundreds of people being shot?
A lot of it's CGI too. I think the actual
not then
blood spurts. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a lot of digital blood these days, where when you see the blood fly, it's not a practical effect; it's a digital effect. But whenever you have a big crowd scene like that, you have a substantial makeup department. It's like you take over a warehouse and fill it with makeup tables. On Gettysburg, we had over 4,000 reenactors that all had to be dirtied up. And so we had a whole dirt crew that went out and just, hit them with dirt socks and put the gunpowder smudge on their cheek and the whole thing. So our crew on that, it sounds like there was a lot of people, and there was, but of main actors, we didn't have as many. So we had, our makeup department was four main makeup artists, the department head, myself as key makeup, and 2 other makeup artists. And then we had a whole dirt crew of like 6 people that would go out and dirty up the reenactors. So they weren't on every day. They were only on the battlefield scenes. So,
right. Wow.
We only had to manage, a larger department on those days.
So wait, do we have the final photos that we can put up right now? There you go.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You have it?
There's depth to it. It looks like a cut.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Look, I want to say that this was really, I was kind of worried about this show because I really didn't know much about this, but it actually was kind of awesome. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you so much, Mike. This was terrific, and we really enjoyed this.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you.
Okay.
If you ever have any questions, you can email the school and they can pass them on to me. Or if you're the people who are listening and viewing need to know more information on the school, it's cinemamakeup.com. Pretty easy, and they can learn a lot more about the school. We have a pretty good YouTube channel as well with tons of videos from around the school, so they can check that out as well.
We'll have links.
2 things. We'll make sure to get you a copy of this video to put in there, and Rachel in the comments will put everything about the school so that people can learn about it and know more about it, get the links and all that.
You gonna wear that wound all day?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, wait a minute.
It'll last all day.
It's Halloween. Aren't you going to a party or something tonight?
No, actually, there's a costume contest at Cinema Makeup School. I'm a student as well, so I'll keep it on.
That's cool.
Looks
Okay.
cool.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so Rachel.
Yes. Let's close it out. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us, and happy Halloween. A big thank you to ICANN, who provide all the lighting to our show, and our sponsor, Rode Mics. Just a reminder to use coupon code Halloween2018 when you're shopping at store.zacuto.com. Through Friday, you'll get a free bag of Zacuto gear with every order over $250. The details are in the chat. Next week, we will be talking with Fatima Asghar about her path to HBO with the show Brown Girls. We will see you there at our usual time, Wednesday at 11 a.m. CST. Happy Halloween. Bye-bye.